time that when one party is trying to destroy the other, you grab for whatever you can, and this is what happened to be available to them.
Well, I take it very seriously, and I'm not going to accuse the other people that are doing this because I'm in the process of trying to persuade those conservatives in the Congress that much of what they are doing now this year, since I went from chairman to ranking member, is destructive to the country. It isn't a matter of them disagreeing or agreeing with me. So I take that this issue a little more seriously than some people. Namely because there's such large percentages of people that think that there's some kind of problem here. And so I'm working on this thing from a little bit different perspective, Devin. On Monday of this week, I and some of my staff went to Benton Harbor, Michigan, which is the first city to be put under the emergency manager law passed only weeks ago and signed into law by the governor of the state of Michigan. And we came from Detroit, and Reverend Jesse Jackson and Rainbow Push and his group came from Chicago. And we met with the ministers who were hosting this. And it was amazing, absolutely amazing, because this is the beginning of a pattern of turning back this clock in terms of civil rights. Like nothing I've ever seen. We were always fighting for civil rights. We were always making gains. We were always getting a voter rights law or a civil rights law or equality to women or something about fairness or equal opportunity. And what we ran into was they were telling us about what this law means, that one person has now replaced every elected official in that city, the mayor, the council, and anybody else. Have all been summarily replaced. And so it's important to me that we understand this, and we now have legal people working with Attorney Hollowell to make sure that Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, which prohibits states from altering contracts. That's in the Constitution. That the 14th Amendment that covers equal protection and due process, which are two different things, are not also being violated. And so we know now. I was with the deputy mayor of Pontiac, Michigan, and he told me that they're under an emergency management restriction as well. They've all been replaced in that city. And I hear that there are other cities coming along the way, but there are also...
It could be this one.
Well, Detroit is obviously one of, if it had been mentioned repeatedly, so we know that Detroit is under the scrutiny too, and that at any day, the governor of the state of Michigan could announce that in his judgment, there is an emergency without explaining or describing it or measuring it in any way in Detroit, and that everybody's going to be put under an emergency manager. Now, the curious thing is that I'm being told that the mayor of the city of Detroit is not hostile to an emergency manager being appointed, which is almost unbelievable. But this is the kind of crisis that we're in. And then further, this tactic of emergency manager is now spreading to other states. And so we have a serious constitutional crisis in the law that was passed in Lansing, Michigan. Now,
I want to try and get everybody in here, and then we've got a number of things to get to. Our three panelists in the middle, given what we just watched, it's shocking how many stereotypes that we saw are not old. Some of these new T-shirts that continue. The three of you, I think, have a unique battle on your hands with stereotypes all the time. Reverend Perez, why don't you start with? I mean, the stereotype of the Hispanic culture is pervasive still.
Yeah. If I may, first I want to say a word of thank you and then a word of apology. First, thank you to the NAACP here in Detroit and to Congressman Conyers, who've been supportive of grassroots community activists throughout southeastern Michigan who have been confronting tactics by ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement. There's been an incident in Detroit where ICE have surrounded a school for several days in a row. So we're thankful for that. And then a word of apology as a clergy person in United Methodist Church and as a practicing Christian, an apology for Reverend Terry Jones and the Christian extremism that he represents, and sort of the religious and spiritual violence and terrorism he perpetrates. Certainly has a right to speak, but sometimes things that are said, we may have a right to say them, but that doesn't mean they're not wrong. And so I know many of friends and colleagues I have who are Muslim are often put in a place to defend or apologize for Muslim extremism. So I find myself in that place today to apologize for Christian extremism. To your question, Devin, while I was watching this, I was reminded of a couple Halloweens ago, there was a costume marketed that was an orange jumpsuit with sort of the stereotypical alien mask on it. This was an illegal alien. As a member of the Hispanic community and as the descendant of German and Irish immigrants and executive director of an organization that provides immigration legal aid, the image, the symbol of the illegal alien is a symbol of hatred and divisiveness. I believe that there are no human beings that are illegal. They may not be documented at a certain point. I believe that this image of the illegal immigrant is connected with a whole constellation of images. Images of the resource-sucking immigrant, of the anchor baby, you know, sort of this whole constellation of images that surround often the Latino community, but also other immigrant communities here in Metro Detroit and around the world. I think that we need to begin framing immigration not as a problem to be solved, but as a phenomenon, part of the phenomenon of human global movement. People move. Yeah. They have since the beginning of history.